Have you ever protected something so carefully that it stopped growing? Not because you hated others, but because you believed they were taking from you, and you never stopped to ask what they were giving. The garden. There was an old man who owned a garden. It was not large, not grand, not something people would travel to see, but it was alive. Grass that bent softly in the wind, trees that held their shape through seasons, soil that stayed dark as if it remembered rain even after it had gone. The old man liked it that way, quiet, predictable, untouched. At least, that's what he told himself, because the truth was, it was never untouched. People came, not in groups, not loudly, just passing through. A man would stop for a moment. A woman would sit beneath a tree. A child would wander in without knowing where they were. They did not ask. They did not explain. They simply entered and left. And every time they did, the old man watched. What he saw. He did not see rest. He did not see peace. He saw something else. Interruption. Movement where there should be stillness. Presence where there should be control. They take, he told himself. They take space, they take quiet. They take what is mine. And the more he watched, the more certain he became. Because ownership feels fragile when others can touch it. So one morning, he made a decision. First wall. It began small. A few stones, a low line that marked a boundary. Not to keep everything out, just to remind the world. This place belonged to him. He stepped back and looked at it. For the first time in a long while, something felt settled, defined, clear. Nothing would enter without him knowing. Nothing would change without him allowing it. And that felt like peace. The return. The next day, someone was inside, standing near the tree as if nothing had changed, as if the wall had never been there. The old man froze, not from fear, from something sharper, disbelief. He walked closer. The person did not run, did not react. They simply moved through the garden the same way others had before, calm, unbothered. And then they left. The old man stood there long after they were gone, and something in him hardened. Higher, the wall grew, higher than before. Not just a boundary now, a statement. Nothing enters without permission. He worked longer this time, more stone, more effort. When it was finished, it felt complete, unbreakable, final. Again, the next day, someone was inside, not climbing, not forcing, just there, near the same place, near the same tree. The old man did not speak. He didn't need to. He already knew what this meant. So the wall answered, again, higher. A pattern. Days passed, then weeks. Each time someone appeared, the wall grew, stone on stone, layer on layer, until it was no longer something you could see over, no longer something you could question. It surrounded everything, complete, closed, final, and slowly, the visit stopped. What he wanted at last. There was nothing. No footsteps, no movement, no presence that did not belong to him. The garden was his, completely. The quiet returned. broken, and for a moment, it felt right. The shift. At first, nothing changed. The trees still stood, the grass still bent, the garden looked the same, but something beneath it didn't. Leaves began to dull, the soil felt harder, the grass stopped moving the same way, the flowers looked drier. The old man noticed, but he did not understand. Effort. So he worked, more than before. He watered, he cut, he cleaned. Every part of the garden was touched by his hands. Every inch was maintained, controlled, perfect, and still it faded, slowly, quietly, without explanation. The silence changes. The quiet remained, but it no longer felt like peace. It felt empty, the kind that does not respond. The old man stood there longer each day, looking, waiting, as if something might return, but nothing did, and what he was protecting was slowly dying. Seeing clearly, one day, he walked slower, closer. He stopped looking at the whole garden and began looking at details. Near the roots, the soil had once been softer. Near the branches, some cuts were too clean to have been his. Near the stones, there were faint marks, as if water had once rested there more often than he remembered. Small things, easy to miss when you're distracted with isolation. What he never saw. The old man stood still, thinking, moving, just seeing. And slowly, something came together. They had not been intruding. They had been caring. The ones who passed through. The ones who enjoyed its beauty. The ones who never stayed long. They had watered and cared for what was his. They had tended what he believed he protected. They had given in life in return of sharing its beauty, and he had answered it with stone. Final reflection. He thought he built the wall to protect what was his, but he never saw what others were giving while they passed through it, because everything valuable needs to be maintained. Sometimes it's done quietly, without recognition, and when they are gone, you don't notice at first, until what you tried to protect no longer lives, because beauty does not lose value when it is shared. It reveals why it's worth sustaining it all along.